Okay, we're now recording. What we'll do today is we will go first over the quiz that I saw a bunch of people turned in, and that was due this Wednesday. As I said, I still give you the option if you want to turn in a piece of your essay. You just have to tell me what part you want me to read. Don't give me like 20 pages and just say read it. You know, just tell me what you want me to read. Rodrigo.
Sorry, David, for this week, the quiz, if we have done the coursework, we can submit the whole thing or just part of it?
If you're submitting it instead of the quiz, do not submit the whole thing. Or if you do, tell me what part you want me to look at.
Okay.
If you want to say, hey, please look at task D, okay. If you want to say, hey, please look at task E, okay. But I'm not going to read the whole thing.
Okay.
Especially so soon before it's due. Okay, let's start by looking at the quiz. Sorry, is there a question?
Yes, how many quizzes has there been?
This is the 5th.
Oh, okay.
So it's up online, and yeah, just to make sure, if you want to get it done, it's due on Wednesday by midnight. So we're going to go over the answers right now, you know, to make it easy for everybody. If you just want to submit the quiz, you can do that. So Nicola, you read this. Did you do the quiz?
No, sir.
A bunch of people did. Who did the quiz? Crystal, you do it?
I did.
No, I didn't.
No, who just said I did? Was that Tiffany?
Yeah.
Okay. So Tiffany, in this case, Gerald Mayo versus Satan. This guy sued the devil. Why?
Because he's a priest?
Well, he didn't sue what did he sue the devil for?
Sorry, it's been like a long time.
Anybody? What did he sue the devil for? No, this is a very famous case. So in this case, he sued Satan, and he sued Satan for negligence. He said Satan has caused misery and threats, and Satan has placed obstacles in my path and caused my downfall. So he wanted to sue Satan. And the decision, so my question to you in the quiz, my question to you in the quiz is, no, stop. Has Satan committed negligence? So does Satan have a duty of care? Juan, what are the 4 tests for duty of care? No, can't hear you.
Can I answer?
Yeah, sure.
Foreseeability, just understandable. Lord Atkins' neighbor test. And I forgot the second one.
Proximity.
The first one.
Yeah, proximity. Yeah.
Good. So is Satan close to us?
No.
No. Isn't Satan all around us?
I mean, I don't know.
Okay,
But
well, let's assume that Satan is real.
No.
Then Satan is near us. Does Satan, should a devil see? Should a devil see that they have a responsibility to humans? Probably, but he probably doesn't see it because he's Satan. So in society, do we want Satan to be responsible to people? Yeah, sure.
Yes.
Are we Satan's neighbors? Are we directly affected by Satan?
I think yes.
Yeah, probably. Okay, so Satan might have a duty of care to us. Now, did he break his duty of care? So risk of harm. Is there a high or low likelihood that we will be harmed by Satan? Yes, very high.
Hi.
And if you're harmed by Satan, could the damage be serious or not serious?
Also serious.
Could be
High.
very serious, right? Satan could get you to kill people. So risk of harm is high. What about the reasonable Satan test? Reasonable person. So would a reasonable Satan, now think about this though. Should I ask Carlotta, would a reasonable Satan cause misery? Is that a reasonable thing for Satan to do?
But isn't the whole point of Satan that it does cause harm?
Exactly. So is that a reasonable thing for Satan to do?
Yes.
Yes, it is. So he probably did not break the reasonable person test because it's reasonable for him to do these things. He's Satan. Is there any social benefit to having Satan? That's a very, very philosophical question. Maybe there is. What about the cost of minimizing the risk? What would it cost Satan to not hurt people? Well, I guess it wouldn't cost him anything. And then finally, the test for damages. Is Satan part of this chain? Can you say, but for Satan, none of these bad things would happen? I think it kind of fails there, you know, and foreseeable. A foreseeable test it would pass, right? It is foreseeable that if Satan puts obstacles in your path, then you will suffer. That's foreseeable, but he's not necessarily part of the chain. What the court said in this case, they said primarily, there's no jurisdiction. So Satan, if Satan exists, Satan is considered to be a foreign prince. So we're going to treat him as the prince of a foreign country. Now, a prince usually has sovereign immunity. You can't sue a king. You can't sue a prince. So he's probably immune from American law. But even if he's not immune, there's no service of process, which means if you want to sue Satan, you don't know where to send the letter. And so you can't sue Satan for that reason. Service of process means who do you send the letter to? In my second question, 2008 case, Ernie Chambers versus God. So here somebody sued God. And they said, there has been widespread death, destruction. So just to make this clear, what I would say is, probably not, because although Satan does have a duty of care, he may not have breached it. And either way, the but-for test fails. I think this is what I'm looking for. It doesn't matter if the question is stupid. I want you to analyze it using duty of care, breach, damages. So this guy, Ernie Chambers, sued God. He wanted an injunction. What does injunction mean, Harry?
To get someone to stop doing something.
So what did he want God to stop doing? Killing everybody, destroying millions upon millions of people. And the judge said, so this guy, Ernie Chambers, is very smart. The judge said, same as Satan, it's not possible to find God's mailing address. That's what they said in the Satan case. But what did Ernie Chambers say to that? Can anybody tell me what was Ernie Chambers' response to that?
I didn't read, but maybe he said like go to the church or something.
Well,
Vaticano.
similar. He said, listen, to the court, if you guys say that God has a mailing address, then you're talking about God like he's real. So the court must acknowledge the existence of God. If I can sue God and the only problem is God doesn't have a mailing address, then I guess we're all going to agree that there is a God. And if there is a God, then God knows everything, right? So God has to know about this court case. So I don't need to mail it to him because he's God. So it was a smart response. This is, Ernie Chambers was actually a senator. This is a picture of him. Looks like the kind of guy who would sue God. So in this case, you know, it did go all the way up to the Supreme Court. It started in 2008. They said, okay, since God knows everything, God does know about this court case. And so the court case went up, and finally a judge threw out the case saying that, okay, even if there is a God, he's not properly served due to his unlisted home address. They just don't have the address of God, so that's the way they got rid of it. You know, but my question here was defend God against this injunction. So how would you defend God against this? Any thoughts? You know defenses to negligence. If God was negligent, how would you defend against this? Tell me, Rodrigo, what are the 4 defenses to negligence? You need to know it for task B of your coursework anyway.
I'm reviewing actually that one in order to complete my coursework, sir.
It's a terrible answer. Somebody else tell me. Carlotta, what are the 4 defenses? Junpyo, what are the 4 defenses?
First, you gotta know if it's illegal or not.
Okay. So did this, so he's saying God committed negligence. And if I am committing negligence, if I push you while you're doing something illegal, you can't sue me, right? If you're trying to rob a bank and I push you and you fall down, you hurt your arm, you can't sue me, right? Because you were trying to rob a bank, you were doing something illegal. Was God doing something illegal, or was were either of them doing something illegal? Right? Ernie Chambers was not doing anything illegal that we could say, okay, it's fair for God to push him because he was doing something illegal. Were humans doing anything illegal? Well, I mean, if you really are on a different level, were humans doing anything illegal? Right? God made rules and we keep breaking them. God said, don't kill each other. He said, you know, we have these 12 commandments, right? And we keep breaking them. So theoretically, we might be doing something illegal. What's the second one, Jim Pio? Second defense against negligence.
Consent.
Consent.
Yeah, consent.
Did humans agree to be hurt by God?
Yes,
How?
it depends.
I don't
I mean,
think
if
so.
you do something wrong,
think
but
we-
if you do something wrong, you know that God is watching you, you know, maybe.
Maybe.
suppose-
I think
yeah,
we go to
I mean-
church to say, please don't hurt us. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
think
yeah,
we're
yeah.
consenting to being hurt, but okay. What's the third one, Junpyo?
If you're voluntarily into that case, then you can't sue that person.
Isn't that the same as consent? Voluntary assumption of the risk?
Yes, necessity.
Necessity.
What's necessity?
It's kind of rescue, you know, you're going to rescue someone and you cause damage.
Could God say it was necessary for me to do these things?
Depends.
Maybe though.
Maybe. Yes.
God could say, listen, I have a big plan that you guys can't understand because you're just little humans. It's necessary for me to do that stuff. Maybe. Last one.
Contributory
negligence.
Would you agree that humans are also partially responsible for this death and destruction?
Also, maybe.
I mean, I think a lot of the terrorization and destruction and death is, you know, it's because of war and things like that, or
Yeah.
economics or whatever. I mean, a lot of that was humans. But this is the way you answer the question. This is how you defend someone against an injunction, is you look, an injunction is a damage that you can get for negligence. So this is a defense against negligence, right? Right? He is accusing God of negligence and asking for an injunction. Now, why, Harry, does he want an injunction, not damages?
Maybe to prevent it happening in the future.
Okay, maybe. Would damages fix the problem?
No.
No, right? You can't kill 1 million people and then give $1 million and kill 1 million people and give $1 million. It's not going to fix the problem. Like you said, needs to stop. Okay, a boy is addicted to OxyContin. I don't know if you know what this is, but it's a drug. And it seemed like he was close to death. To combat this serious addiction, his doctor prescribed a medicine called lofexidine. So the boy started to take more and more and ended up addicted to lofexidine. And the boy sued the doctor for negligence. Defend the doctor using the defenses of consent and necessity. Jody, how would you defend this doctor?
If by consent, like before the patient consent to the lofexidine.
Okay.
And the necessity because the doctor needs to heal the patient.
Okay. So for consent, the boy knew the risks and he agreed to take this risk anyway. For necessity, the doctor was dealing with a greater harm, which is this other drug, OxyContin, was going to kill him. He was close to death. And so he used something that's dangerous, but yes, but it's dealing with a greater harm. I promised to give you, Tiffany, I promised to give you a grade of 97 in return for 20,000 RMB. You agree? We sign a contract. I take your money, and at the end of the semester, I give you a grade of 60. You sue me for breach of contract. How will I argue that this is not a valid contract? What might an argument be?
Isn't it because I cannot ask you for a grade because you're on an employment contract, maybe?
Okay, maybe an employment idea. Anybody have other thoughts? Why?
Is it illegal? Because it's
Okay, so I would say this is illegal, maybe. Any other thoughts?
You could also say you're not getting anything in return.
Good.
yeah.
Could you, what if, can anybody give me the counter argument to that? If I say there's no consideration, how could you argue there is consideration? Tiffany, do you think can you argue that there is consideration? What am I getting in return?
Nothing.
Can anybody argue that I am getting something?
The money.
You're getting money, yes.
Well, I'm
right?
getting money and you're getting the grade. Oh yeah, so
Yes,
you're getting the
there
grade for the
is a
money. There's
return.
definitely consideration. What am I thinking?
Yeah, that's why we said like it's illegal.
It's illegal to sell a grade, maybe.
Yeah,
Anything
like
else?
you are not interested in the grade itself. You are interested in the money.
Okay, so there's one other thing that we haven't learned yet, but we're probably going to learn today, which is you have an obligation to study. And so it doesn't matter what I promise to do, this is your obligation. And I, like Tiffany said, I have an obligation to grade you fairly. So you and I both have obligations here, and we're trying to make a contract that goes outside of our obligations. You have to study. That's just your obligation. When you agreed to take this class, you knew that if you didn't study, you'd fail. You consented to that. And for me, I consented that I get a salary, and for that amount of money, I need to grade everybody fairly. If I wanted more money, I should have negotiated for more money. So it's illegal. We both have obligations. Number 5, I open a store called Sneeze. I sell a bunch of cool stuff. And in the window of the store, I put a rocket launcher. And I think it's cool, but it's illegal to sell that. So the police sue me for offering to sell a rocket launcher. And what I say to the police, it's not an offer. So this is an important case. If you're not familiar, we talked about it last time very briefly, but this was a case called Fisher v. Bell. And in Fisher v. Bell, what happened is in a store, they had this knife. This is called a switchblade. You touch it and the blade comes out. And it was illegal in the 1960s. It was illegal to sell this, but they had it in the window of a store. And the police came and they arrested the store owner and they said, you can't sell that. And the store owner said, I'm not selling that. The store owner said, it is not an offer, right? If it's not an offer, what is it? We learned it last week. If it's not an offer, if there was no offer for sale, then what is it?
Invitation to treat.
Correct. It's an invitation to treat. What is the definition of invitation to treat?
An offer to make another offer.
Good. So what he said is this knife in the window wasn't actually an offer. It was just an offer to make an offer. Okay, and then after this case, they changed the law to say you cannot have or sell or expose a dangerous weapon like that. Because obviously people thought it was an offer, but it was not an offer. And this is a very famous case for this idea. You know, this case established that where goods are displayed in a shop, together with a price label. Remember, we talked about the price of milk in a supermarket or the price of shoes in a shoe store. That is an invitation to treat, not an offer. This is one of the important cases that established that rule. Okay, so, right, the idea here, something in a store with a price tag is an invitation to treat, not an offer, pretty much. Any questions about the quiz? No? Okay. Let's go on to continue with contracts then. So let's do a little bit of review just before we get into the new stuff. We learned about contracts, and I said there are 5 things you need to know. Oh, a cat, I care. And those 5 things make a good contract, a valid contract. What is O?
Offer.
Good. What is A?
Acceptance.
C?
Is consideration.
I?
Intention. And
the last C?
certainty.
Good. Okay. Oh, a cat, I care. Offer, acceptance, consideration, intention, and certainty. What's the difference? What's the difference, Jody, between a promise and an offer?
Sorry.
What's the difference between a promise and an offer?
A promise that you need to give something to someone because of your promise, but an offer the people who receive it can reject it or take it.
That's not really the answer I'm looking for. Rodrigo, what's the difference between a promise and an offer? Here's a promise, right? You can see my screen. This is a promise. A promise is an undertaking, however expressed, that something shall happen in the future or shall not happen in the future. What's the difference between this and a contract? No? Nicola, what's the difference?
What's the difference between the promise and the contract?
Yes.
Or in the contract, we have like two promises. So it's binding. So someone is offering something, and then the counterpart will also offer something, you know.
Okay.
So
It
if
would be bilateral, right?
one of the parts breach it, there is a remedy.
Okay, I think that's true, that you have now two promises in a contract, and if somebody breaches it, there's a remedy. And that's really, I think, the key idea. If someone breaches it, there's a remedy. Another way to say this that's even a little more simple, a contract is enforceable. What does that mean, Carlotta? A contract is enforceable.
It can force people to do something.
Who forces the people?
Their consent to the contract, like whatever.
Yeah,
you
but who
can-
forces them?
The person who made the contract.
Can I force you to sell me shirts? Can I go to your house and grab you and force you to sit down and make 1,000 shirts and give them to me?
No.
So who can enforce this? Not
The
me.
law.
Isn't it enforced by law?
Okay. What we would usually say is the court. You know, the court enforces the contract. If you want to say the law, that's fine. Can the law make you sit down and make 1,000 shirts for me? No, you don't have to. The law can't force you to, but then you have to pay me. Can the law force you to pay me? Carlotta, what happens if you owe me money and you refuse to pay me? What can the court do?
Send me to prison.
Okay, usually we don't send people to what's called debtor's jail. That was something we don't do in America. We don't send people to prison for owing money.
Oh.
So we're not going to send you to prison. That would be criminal law.
They could take stuff from you, right? Like
Okay,
you-
that's the first thing. We can take stuff from you, right? The court can take your car. How do they take it? They have police people who come and take it. They can take your house. They can put a sign in your house and you can't go in. They could change the lock. They can take your business. They can take your salary. They can take stuff. That's pretty much what the court can do to enforce the contract. They could go into your house and arrest you and hold you while they auction your furniture, your clothes, your cars, whatever, to get the money. But then they'll let you go. They're not going to put you in prison, but they can take your money. A contract is enforceable. Jody, is a promise enforceable?
Yeah.
If I make you a
For
promise,
someone to do.
if I make you a promise, like, Jody, I promise I'll give you my bicycle. Can you make the police take the bicycle from me?
No, because there is no legal contract.
There's no contract. A promise is not enforceable. A contract is. That's really, really the difference. You know, you can't make someone keep their promise, but you can make someone keep their contract. Either the court will take the money from them or the court will force them to do it, you know, or the court will stop them from doing something, injunctions, specific performance. So we have to understand that a contract is a set of promises where there's a remedy now. Why is there a remedy? Because there's a duty. If I make you a promise, there's no duty. I don't have to do it. But if we have a contract, now both of us have a duty. Both of us have a responsibility to keep this contract. Juan, does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay. Isaac, you there?
Yep.
What's the difference between a promise and a contract?
Well, a promise is not enforceable and a contract is.
How can a contract be enforced?
By the court of law.
Okay, that's fine. There are two kinds of contracts, Crystal: bilateral and unilateral. What's a bilateral contract?
Bilateral, that means two promises. The two
Okay,
parties.
two promises. Can you give me an example of a bilateral contract?
I give you money, you give me like shirts or products.
Sure. Money for products. That's a bilateral contract. I'm not giving you the products this second. You're not giving me the money this second. You're promising me the money and I have to go make the products. But, you know, I promised I'd give them to you. You promised you'd give me the money. We have a contract right now. And if I want to break the contract in 5 minutes, you could sue me because we have a contract right now. The second that you both make promises, there is a contract. Junpyo, what is a unilateral contract?
So one promise and one performance.
So what's the difference between that and bilateral?
The contract doesn't become binding until the act is performed.
Okay. Can you give me an example of perform?
I'm not sure, but maybe Donghua pays you money, you have to give us the class maybe. Maybe that's a performance.
Okay. I mean, I think that's true. They're paying me to do it. They're not paying me to promise to do it. And that's true. Certainly something like fixing a toilet. If you don't fix it, you don't get paid, right? You have to do it. Contracts are usually made to a specific person. But is it possible to make a contract to a whole group of people or the world? Nicola, is that possible?
I don't think so.
We learned one case where someone made an offer to all of England.
Yes.
And that's the
It's
classic case for unilateral. Can anybody remember what case was that?
It's the drink of the bomb.
It was a ball.
The
yeah.
smoke, right?
Yeah.
Smoke
The
ball.
smoke ball, yes. So in smoke ball, they made a case, right? In smoke ball, they made an offer to all of England. So this was a unilateral contract. Crystal, can you explain what does that mean? Why was this unilateral?
They make the promise, but the customer have to perform the things. They have to use the product. They have to use it.
Sure. So they made a promise to everybody in the country, anybody who sees the newspaper. If you do this, you use the smoke ball and you get sick, then we have a contract. And no notification is necessary. You do not have to call the company and tell them, I will choose to use your product. You don't have to. Crystal, could they have said in their advertisement, if you want to accept, you must call us?
Don't have to.
But could they have said that in the contract?
They could have stated.
Sure, they could have said that. They chose not to say it. And therefore, they're not going to be protected against this because they could have said it. Okay, and then we got into talking about void and voidable. What's the difference there? Carlotta? Tell me, what's a void contract?
It's not recognized by the law. Maybe it's illegal.
It's illegal, sure. It just doesn't exist. What's a voidable contract?
The contract can be used again, or can like the person can decide to not keep what they wrote on the contract.
Okay, but that's not a super clear explanation. Harry, can you help us understand what's voidable contract?
I'm not too sure on the definition, to be honest.
Anybody? Can somebody tell me what's a voidable contract?
Is it a contract that you can actually void? Like you can void that contract? Like
You can void the contract, sure, if you want. Why would you void this contract?
If it's like harming you in any way, or it's not you feel it's not just for you.
Well, but what gives you that option?
If someone made the mistake and the other person can change. So the harmed person.
Okay. The harmed person, that's a good way to say it, can choose whether or not to void the contract. Harry, can you give me an example of a situation where you might choose not to void the contract? What are we talking about when we say the harmed person?
Like maybe, is it as a result of the contract there's damages or you're harmed?
Yeah, well, we have to, I mean, that's correct. We need to be a little clear about this word harmed. Obviously, we don't mean physical harm. We're talking about contracts here. So we're not talking about physical harm. Probably we're not talking about emotional harm. What kind of harm are we talking about?
Can it be like, for example, you were talking before, the Glover be Jewish? Like if a person doesn't know the offer of a contract or something within the contract?
Well, but am I harmed if I didn't know there was a contract?
Well, you're harmed if you don't know of all the facts of the contract. Maybe there's something there that can actually be like harm you.
Maybe, if I don't know all the facts, but were you, like, let's say I have a contract with you and the contract is to buy your car. Now, maybe there are things I don't know in the contract, but are you lying to me? Is that why I don't know them?
No.
Why don't I know things?
Because I'm not lying to you, but I'm not showing them to you.
But that sounds like lying to me. I mean, if I'm going to buy your car and I say, does it work? Can I try it? And you say, yes, it works. And no, you can't try it. You just refuse to show it to me. I mean, that's
like if there's a little problem with the car, but I don't tell you. I'm not lying, but I'm not actually telling you.
Okay, that's definitely lying. You can't do that. That's a lie by omission. You can't just not tell me something. You would be in trouble there. Okay, but fine. That's an example of avoidable contract. That still is an example. So Harry, I made a contract with Juan to buy his car. It's a Toyota Camry. Now, actually, there's a problem with the headlights. I don't know that. I asked Juan if everything's okay, and he says, yeah, everything's good. No problems. I use it every day. But actually, there's a problem with the headlights. I give him, $8,000 US, and he gives me the keys to the car. I turn on the car and I realize, oh my God, there's a problem with the headlights. Have I been harmed?
Yeah, because you didn't know this when the contract
right? Because he didn't tell me the truth, right? So yeah. I have been harmed. Now, if I want, can I say, Juan, you need to give me back my money, I'll give you back the car?
Yeah, you can choose whether you want to continue or...
Right.
I
can choose. Because what if I look at the headlights and actually my brother, he works at a car shop, he can fix it for $20. And aside from this, $8,000 is a great deal for this car. This car is worth $15,000. So yeah, he did lie to me, but I don't care. Still a great deal. Then I'm going to choose to keep the contract. The contract is voidable. It's my choice as the person who got financially harmed, whether or not I want to keep the contract. This is a really important point because we're going to come back to this again and again throughout the rest of the semester. So I got to make sure you guys get this. And I understand you might just forget it, but I think hopefully that should be clear. Okay, so then we talked about an offer is where we started last time. What's the definition of an offer? Junpyo, what's the definition of an offer?
Wait, I'm not sure about this.
Isaac, what's the definition of an offer?
Is there a definition, or isn't it just an offer, something that you offer somebody?
And an offer is an offer, and a dog is a dog, and a knife is a knife, and the sky is
Right.
the sky. I don't think that's how language works, my friend.
It's a proposal.
It's a proposal to marry someone.
The proposal to create a contract.
Okay,
Yeah.
fine. I will accept that. It is a proposal to create a contract, right? 6 words, a proposal to create a contract. Now, you want to make it even longer? Fine, here's the definition. But it's a proposal to make a contract. It's me saying to you, me inviting you to make a contract. That's what it is. What's the test? Nicola, what's the test?
It's the reasonable person test.
Good. Is that subjective or objective?
This is subject.
Good. So it's a subjective test, right? This is a subjective test called the reasonable person test. So if I make an offer to you, the question is, did you, as a reasonable person, think this was an offer? It's not about me, because maybe I have a secret plan and I say, hey, Harry, I'll sell you my very expensive World War II pen for $1,000, but I'm secretly never going to sell it to you. We can't have that. Instead, we need you. If you believe this was an offer, then it was. So it's about the, let's say, the customer and not the seller. And then we gave a few examples. The first one was Lonergan, which gave us another test called the fixed purpose test. Also quite an important test. What does the fixed purpose test mean? Carlotta, what does the fixed purpose test mean? Gotta review your notes before class. Crystal, what is the fixed purpose test?
Like to test whether the person knows the contract is only made, like it's final for them and
Okay.
nothing to negotiate.
Good. Whether or not the customer knows that the contract is only for them. So if I said, I'm selling my World War II pen for $1,000, is that an offer to Harry? If Harry is a reasonable person, should he think that he's the only person who can accept that offer? Rodrigo. Rodrigo, I said, I'm selling this World War II pen for $1,000. Should Harry believe that that's an offer made only to him and no one else in the world?
No.
No, right? I would have to say I'm selling this to Harry for or I'm offering it to Harry for $1,000. If I just give the price, what if I say, Rodrigo, I'm selling this pen for $1,000 Monday, 9 to 5 at my apartment?
You're making it like the offer is clear.
Well, am I 100% definitely offering it only to Harry?
Oh, no, it's still not.
No. I mean, that was pretty clear, right? I'll offer it for $1,000 Monday, 9 to 5 in my apartment. You can pay with WeChat, Alipay, credit card, or cash. It's still not an offer. Now, Rodrigo, what if I said, I'll sell this pen for $1,000 Monday, 9 to 5, cash, WeChat, Alipay, credit card, first come, first served.
You're still not offering just to Harry,
Who am I offering it to, though?
the first person that comes.
And is that a specific person?
No.
It is. We just don't know that person's name yet.
Oh, actually.
It is a specific person. It's the first person. We don't know that person's name, but we will in the future. And so that, just like the second case we learned about offer, which was Lefkowitz, gave us this clear, definite, precise test, because in this case, they said, first come, first served. Right? They said, first come, first served. That's it. That is a clear person. Of course, we don't know who it is, but it is a clear person. Okay, then we talked about the invitation to treat, which we said before is not an offer. It's an offer to make an offer. So an invitation to treat is an offer to make an offer. Can somebody give me an example of, Carlotta, give me an example of something that is an invitation to treat.
You have to go to court. You've been fined.
I don't know what that means. You have to go to court. Tell me an
like-
example of an object that's an invitation to treat. Can anybody give me an example?
Yeah,
Yes,
we
it's
just
we
like the
just
price in
saw this
the
case.
supermarket.
Sure, anything in a supermarket, right? We just looked at this case a few minutes ago, Fisher v. Bell. What was this case about?
The knife.
It's about a
Which
knife, right? So they said this knife is goods displayed in a shop with a price label. So anything in a store with a price is an invitation to treat. It is not an offer. So as I said last week, that means they could raise the price, they could lower the price. That's not the final price. It's almost like that's a suggestion. Now, usually they don't change the price, but they could. And as we said, there are some countries where they've made laws that you can't do this. But typically in common law countries, it is okay to do this. Okay, and that's pretty much where we got to last week. And that's an hour of stuff almost that we just did, getting us back up to speed. Not an excellent use of our time, but reviewing is pretty important. We're making decent time this semester, so it's okay. It's really, really important to me that you get this beginning stuff. Any other questions right now about what we just did? We did like, what is a promise and a contract? What is unilateral and bilateral? What is void and voidable, and then offer? That's what we just did. And you know, I need you guys to know this stuff and to be organized. Now, in terms of talking about offers, how about this? So I have a friend who thinks there'd be a good market for fresh peanuts near Donghua. So I send some emails to local companies. I ask about buying their peanuts. I want to know prices. And one company sends me a sample and it tastes really good. And I email them back and say, what's the price? And they write back, we're asking 10 RMB, 10 yuan a pound. Okay, that sounds good. So remember, they emailed me the price. So I emailed them and I say, I accept your offer. I'll buy 100 pounds at 10 RMB per pound. The next day, the company emails me and says, they're sorry, they already sold it to someone else. And I say, you can't do that. You made me an offer. I accepted it. We had a contract. Did they make me an offer? Let's go through the tests. So first test, the reasonable person test. Jody, I'm the customer. Would a reasonable customer think that they made me an offer?
Yes.
I emailed them and said, what's your price? And they said, we're asking 10 RMB a pound. So, okay, you think
Yeah,
a
the
reasonable
word is
person would
asking.
accept this as an offer. But let's look at our second test. We have 3 tests for offer right now. Number 1 is the reasonable person test. Number 2 is this fixed purpose test. Jody, looking at what they said, they sent me this email. Should I believe they are making an offer to me and no one else? Is this very clearly
be
an
like
offer
that.
to me and no one else?
Yes, because I already accept and they already accept my
I just said,
my offer.
all I said is, what's the price?
Yeah.
I mean, if I walk up to you and say, hey, Jody, nice bicycle. How much is that? And you say, oh, it's 1,000. Can I say, I accept?
No.
No, you're just telling me the price. I asked the company, what's the price? So this is why the reasonable person test isn't enough, because a reasonable person might think, yeah, I asked them the price. They told me 10 RMB. I have a contract. But the fact is, they didn't offer it to you and only you.
But
Now
sorry,
let's look
did the company reply to him anything about after he said like I want to buy 100 yuan?
They emailed him and said, we're sorry, we already sold it to someone else.
Oh, yeah.
Now
I
the
thought
other
after
test,
he just
the third test, the Lefkowitz test, is this clear, definite, precise? So we have 3 tests. Number 1 is the reasonable person test. Number 2 is the fixed purpose test, which says, is the customer the only person in the whole world who can accept this offer? And number 3, clear, definite, precise. Carlotta, is this 100% clear? We are asking for 10 yuan a pound. What's missing here in a really good, clear offer? What do we know?
Maybe they could convert the 10 yuan a pound.
No, I don't mean that. About this offer, they're offering to sell peanuts. From their email to me, what do I know?
What they want for the peanuts?
The
Amount of money?
price. Yeah, the price. That's what I know. Do I know when?
No.
Like
or
1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month, tomorrow? I mean, I don't know. Do I know how they want me to pay? WeChat, Alipay? No, I don't know that. Do I know how they will send them to me? By mail, by Kuaidi, I need to go pick it up myself. I don't know that either. I mean, there's so much they could have told me if this was a real offer. And when we say clear, definite, precise, that's what we mean. Do I know who, what, when, where, how? Do I know everything? Here, I just know the price. That's nothing. So this definitely isn't an offer. And this is a really famous case called the Cortine seed case. So we're in 1929. The facts are very similar. Plaintiff sent a sample of seeds. Defendant sent a sample of seeds. Plaintiff asked for the lowest price. Defendant said, I am asking 23 cents per pound. Plaintiff then said, I accept the offer, and then immediately sold it to a third party. But the court said, sorry, asking about the price is not an offer. It wasn't clear, it wasn't precise, right? It wasn't fixed. This was just starting the bargaining. This is just like me saying, hey, Jody, how much is that bicycle? There's no contract right now. I'm just asking about the price of something.
I have a question.
Yes.
So if you do ask a company for, I don't know, for seats or for peanuts, and they give you a clear and precise answer, and they give you all the where, how, when, why, all those things. So is that a contract, and is it like bindable by law, enforceable by law?
Well, let's say
That's
just
not a
for,
contract?
let's say, for example, I write an email to your company and I say, Isaac, how much are your sunflower seeds?
Okay.
That's all I write, right? Same thing here. I said, how much are your sunflower seeds? Now, Isaac, you write me an email that says our sunflower seeds are 10 yuan per pound. You can have them delivered via Kuaidi. The delivery price is included. We deliver it within 3 to 5 business days. You can order up to 5 pounds and you can pay with WeChat or Alipay. Would a reasonable customer think that you are offering me up to 5 pounds of seeds at 10 RMB a pound to be delivered within 3 days by Kuaidi using WeChat or Alipay?
I mean, you might, but maybe that's just like our standard price and our standard way of delivering.
Okay, but should I, as a reasonable customer, believe that you are making me that offer?
I believe so, yeah.
I think so too. You told me how to pay. You told me when I'll get it. You told me how much I can get. You told me the price. I mean, what else is there?
So is that a contract? For example, if I tell you all of that and then I go and sell everything else to someone else, can you, I don't know, sue me for doing that?
No, because you sold it before I accepted.
Okay.
But if you send me an email and I send you back an email that says I accept, and then tomorrow you sell it to everybody else, then I could sue you.
Okay.
You know, you can always, you know, you made me an offer, but I hadn't accepted yet.
Got it.
Okay, but so why, like, for example, let's say you do accept, but you never give the money. You just accept it, but you like the days came and you never actually got to pay. Are you able to sell it to someone else?
No, because I never paid for it.
So what, you just stall until they pay you, or what?
I'm sorry, now I'm confused. Who's they? They
Sorry,
pay you.
Like, for example, okay, they
Who? I don't know who they is.
like they give you, well, let's say a company gives you all the information about I don't know, some product.
Well, let's use this example with me and Isaac.
Okay, yeah, perfect. So Isaac gives you all the information, and then
I say I accept your offer.
yeah, but then you never pay. You just, I don't know, you forgot or something, but you never came through the payment.
Well, I mean, I assume that when he made the offer to me, he said payment must be received within 24 hours or 48 hours or 2 weeks or.
Okay.
I mean, a good contract would have all that information. If Isaac was writing the contract, I would expect his company to write that.
Okay.
I mean, if they didn't write anything, then in the law, we use what's called a reasonable time, which would be what's compared to other industries where you buy seeds or buy nuts or food or anything like this. What's a reasonable time to pay? And we would ask other companies. You know, so let's say in your example, I forgot and I didn't pay. But it's because I was so busy. I was going to Harry's store and reselling them to Harry. I don't have them yet, but I made a contract with Harry. And I went to your store and made a contract with you. And I went to Rodrigo's store and made a contract with him. And I forgot to pay Isaac. And then 3 days later, Isaac says, oh, I'm sorry, you never paid me, so I sold it to someone else. And I say, whoa, dude, I was going to pay you. You can't just sell it to someone else. We had a contract. And Isaac would say, sorry, you waited too long. Now we're going to go to court and decide, is 3 days too long?
Okay, I understand.
What I would think, because I don't know this specific industry, but what I would say is no, 3 days is not too long. It is reasonable for me to make a contract and wait, maybe 4 days or 5 days before I actually transfer the money to him. But hey, if he didn't ask for a deposit and he didn't give me a time limit, that's his fault. And so probably I can sue him because I just made a contract with Harry and you and Rodrigo. I need to fulfill that contract. So I might have to go to another store and buy their sunflower seeds, and they're much more expensive than Isaac's. Isaac's got to pay the difference.
Okay, I understand.
What about this though? So what if I have a new idea and I want to sell jars? So I send emails to local companies. Again, I ask them for the lowest price. One company sends me an email saying they can offer glass jars for 2 mao per jar. I don't even think you use mao anymore. 2 mao per jar. But they write this sentence: price available for immediate acceptance. So I email the company. I say, I accept. I'll buy 100 glass jars at 2 mao per jar. And the next day they email me and tell me they already found a new buyer. So I say, I'm going to sue them. Do we have an offer now? Do we have a contract? What's the difference between this and the Cortine seed case?
They have the
Tiffany,
time.
what's the
limit.
difference? Oh, Junpyo, what's the difference?
They have the time limit.
They had a time limit. What was their time limit?
Immediately.
And did I accept immediately?
Can you go to the next slide to check?
I emailed the company.
Yeah, I think so then.
Yeah. They said this price. Now, they did not have exactly a time limit. They did not say you must email us within 24 hours. That's a time limit. They didn't give me a time limit. They told me, if you want these jars, we will give you this price. This price is available for immediate acceptance. You can accept this price at any time. They didn't say you only have 24 hours or you only have 1 week. They didn't give me a time limit. They gave me an offer. So in this case, and this is Fairmont Glassworks, they said yes. The price quotation included the language for immediate acceptance, and therefore a reasonable person would believe if they said you can buy. This is the same if I go to Jody and said, how much is your bicycle? And Jody said, I'll sell it for $1,000 right now. Should I believe that if I give him $1,000 right now, I can have it? Sure, he just said that. He just said, I'll give it to you for the money right now. Okay, cool. So for immediate acceptance makes it clear.
So it's like in this example, the Fairmont glass, I don't know. I mean, but they couldn't say anything, like they should avoid say this kind of thing. When they do this kind of promise, they are.
Lots of people don't know the law and they write things like this because they think it sounds good or because they had a lawyer who put it in and they just didn't know. You know, the greatest example of this ever is these 2 words. Oh, that doesn't look good. As is.
As is.
If I have a contract that says I will sell you my bicycle as is, and you look at it and it looks good, and then you say, David, is it good? And I say, look, I use it every day. I think it's fine. I'm not a mechanic. I don't know, but I think it's fine. I use it every day. So you buy it, you take it to a special mechanic. He says, this is garbage. The brakes don't work. The wheels don't work. The tires don't work. The lights don't work. You can't drive this. It's illegal. It's garbage. Can you get your money back from me?
I don't know.
Yeah.
If this is as is, maybe not.
If it's as is, then you cannot. As is means you buy it as it is
Yes.
right now. That's it. That's the way it is. And people will put this in a contract just because they've seen it in a TV show or something. You know, they don't know what it means, but it means then if you buy it, that's it. You bought it in the condition it's in right now. Now, this is important for you guys to know that if you ever sell anything, try to sell it as is. I always put this in a contract. Yeah, I'll sell you this, stereo as is. I'll sell you this TV as is, whatever, as long as you have that in writing as is, you can't be sued if it's not in good condition. Now, of course, if you lie to someone on purpose, that's different. If I know that this motorcycle is totally broken and I say, oh, I just brought it to a garage and it's in a perfect condition, that's a lie. And you can be sued for lying, but that's a little different. What about this? I own 2 small farms that are next to each other. I live on one farm and nobody uses the other farm. Now, let's say Carlotta. Carlotta, you still here? No Carlotta? No, how about, Aruni. Aruni has arrived. Hello, Aruni.
Hello.
Aruni, you want to buy my farm, okay? Got it?
Yes.
Okay. And you told me a lot of times that you want to buy the farm if I'm ever going to sell it. So one day I decide I actually do need extra money and I call you and I say, hey, Aruni, do you still want to buy it? And you say, yes, absolutely. I've wanted it for years. And I say, okay. So that's it. It's just that phone call. And about a month later, you call me, you say, David, are you still selling it? And I say, yeah. I'm just thinking about the price. So then I send you an email and it says the price and it says, all the details of the land. It says when I want to get paid. It says how you will pay me. It says everything. Everything's in that email. And you write me an email saying you accept my offer. But I say, oh, no, I changed my mind. I was just telling you information. It wasn't really an offer. You misunderstood. Did I make you an offer? Let's look at the tests. We have 3 tests. Number 1, reasonable person. So Aruni, you're a reasonable person. To you, does it sound like I made an offer? I said, here's what happened. I said, do you want to buy the farm? You said yes. Then I sent you an email with all the details, the price, how to pay me, when to pay me, how you get the title to the land. Just everything was in that email. Would you, as a reasonable customer, think that sounds like an offer?
Yeah.
Okay. Second test, fixed purpose. Am I making the offer to you personally, or am I making the offer to lots and lots of people?
Just to me personally, because you said
Right. It sounds like, because I made a phone call to you and said, do you want it? And then I sent you an email. And the third test, is this clear, definite, and precise? Am I missing anything here? I told you the price. I told you the time. I told you how to pay. I told you everything, right? There's no big thing that's missing.
It's pretty clear.
It's pretty clear, and this is an offer. Okay, so it doesn't matter if I say, oh, it's not an offer. It doesn't matter. All that matters is these 3 tests. That's what matters, to see if there's an offer. Now, what about this, though? Hey, Florian. Florian, only 40 minutes late today? Congratulations.
Yes, sorry, because in France we changed the hour and I forget, so I came to.
Is that true? Because we didn't change the hour in America.
Yeah, we call this winter hour. For 1 hour, in order to sleep more, we go to the American side. So.
Welcome to the American side, my friend.
Yeah,
it
exactly.
is terrible over here. Let's go back to the Chinese side. Okay, Florian, I tell you that you can buy my guitar for 100,000 RMB, and I'm going to give you until May 1st to decide. But then on April 1st, I sell the guitar to someone else. And then you say you want to buy the guitar. I say the guitar is sold and you sue me. Did I make you an offer?
Yes, you did.
Well, let's look at our 3 tests. You just got here, but Tiffany can help us with the 3 tests. Test number 1, is Florian reasonable in thinking that I made him an offer? That is, some sort of promise to him, and if he accepts, we have an agreement.
Yes.
Tiffany, you think that a reasonable customer might believe this is an offer?
Yes, yes, it is a reasonable offer.
Okay. What about our second test, the fixed purpose test? Should Florian believe that he and only him, he's the only person in the world to whom I have made this offer?
Yes, because there's a signature with the offer on it.
Okay, sure, we have a contract. And is it 100% clear, definite, and precise?
Not really. I think there's like missing information about how to purchase it.
Okay,
The price
you're
is
right.
the price. Yeah.
You're right, but let's say in the case, imagine that I told him everything. So let's say it is clear, definite, and precise. There's still a problem here. At what moment do he and I have a contract?
Until May 1st.
On May 1st. What did I promise to give him?
Is it the guitar? Is it, yeah?
My guitar. And what did he promise to give me?
100,000 RMB.
The money.
Did he?
Well, he didn't say.
He didn't, did he?
Yeah, no, he didn't say.
I promised to give him my guitar in exchange for this money. Did he promise to give me that money?
Mm-mm.
No, he did not. What should he have done if he wanted to have this? Let's
You
say,
should inform that accept the price.
well, sure, maybe, but let me change the example. Carlotta, you want to rent an apartment in Shanghai. Okay, you move back to Shanghai, you want to rent an apartment, and I am an agent. Okay, and so you come and I show you this apartment, and you say, "Oh, it's very nice, but I need to think about it. I have some roommates. I need to talk to my roommates." And I say, "Well, you know, these apartments in Shanghai, they move very quickly, so I can't guarantee you, but you know, I'll try to give you until Friday." And then you call me on Thursday and I say, "Oh, Carlotta, I'm sorry, the apartment's already gone." Did we have a contract?
No.
If you wanted me to keep the apartment available until Friday, what should you have done?
Like written a contract and made you sign it that the apartment would not be bought until after Friday.
Now, have you guys ever rented an apartment? What does a landlord or an agent want if you do that?
A
Pay.
deposit.
A deposit.
Advance.
That's what the landlord wants. This is a special kind of contract called an option contract. An option contract is where you pay someone a deposit for the option to accept this contract in the future. If you don't pay a deposit, there is no contract because they promised to give something to you, but you didn't promise, you know, like that's the problem is Carlotta might not have rented my apartment. So she didn't promise anything to me. So we can't make a contract. So if you pay a deposit, then you have an option contract. This is Dickinson v. Dodds, where it was an offer to sell land by a certain date, and then defendant sold it to someone else. Plaintiff tried to sue, and the court said, sorry, there's no contract. There was no consideration to keep this offer open. Is that clear? I know a lot of this is confusing at the beginning. As we go through more of this offer acceptance consideration thing will become more clear. Now let's talk about this idea of ending the offer. So how do you end an offer? I had made this offer to Carlotta that I would rent her this apartment. Now, I've changed my mind. So Carlotta, I made you I said, Carlotta, I will rent you this apartment right now for 10,000 RMB a month. And you said, well, I need to talk to my roommates. You know, I'll call you back tomorrow. And I say, okay, but you know, no promises. Now, what if tonight Harry wants to rent it? Can I rent it to Harry?
I didn't put a deposit, right?
No deposit.
So yeah, you can.
So there are 3 ways that I can terminate the offer. Number 1, words. So I just say to you, Carlotta, I'm sorry, I rented it to Harry. That's it. Or Carlotta, I'm sorry, I've decided not to rent it. I can do that. You didn't accept yet. Number 2, actions. So if I rent it to Harry tonight, Carlotta, do I need to call you and tell you? Think about looking for an apartment. Does every agent and landlord need to call you and tell you when they rent it to someone else?
No.
No. That's an action. So one thing I could do is I could call you and say, hey, Carlotta, I'm sorry, I changed my mind. I'm not renting it. That's it. You didn't accept yet. No contract, no offer. Number 2, I could just rent it to someone else. That's an action. But number 3 is really important, counteroffer. Now, let's say that I say, Carlotta, I'll rent you this apartment for 10,000 RMB a month, okay? And you say, well, David, that's a lot of money. I can't do 10, I could do 8. Now, I say, sorry, I just can't do that. It's not, I can't do less than 10. And you say, okay, 10, fine. Do we have a contract?
No.
Why not?
If there's an agreement of a payment, but another person could end up wanting to pay more.
That's not the reason, though. We don't have a contract, but that's not the reason. When I made you an offer, Carlotta, what was my first offer?
10?
Did you accept my offer?
No.
You rejected my offer. Now there's no more offer. It's dead. It's gone. We can never get it back. Now, Carlotta, you made me a new offer. What was your new offer?
To do 10, right? To pay 10.
No, you said 10 was too expensive.
Yeah, but then I...
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You said 10 was too expensive, and you said, how about 8?
Oh. Yeah.
You made me an offer. You offered me 8,000 a month. Did I accept it?
No.
There's no offer. All offers are dead. This is what happens in the real law of negotiations. Now, let me change it. What if it wasn't the price? I said, Carlotta, I can give you a 1-year lease for 10,000 a month. And you say, okay, but I want a 2-year lease. And I say, no, I'm sorry, I can't do that. And you say, okay, 1-year lease. Do we have a contract? What was my first offer to you?
A 1-year 1-year lease?
For 10,000 a month. Did you accept?
No.
That offer is now dead. What offer did you make to me?
1 year.
You said 2 years.
Oh, 2 years. 2 years.
Did I accept?
No.
All offers are dead. That's it. When you negotiate with someone really in the law, you can never, ever go back in time. Every time you say no to someone, that is called a counteroffer. It is a rejection. And that's it. You can never go back. I write you an email offering to sell you 100 valuable books for $2 each. You write an email accepting, but saying you want 200 books instead. And I write back refusing. You say, oh, okay, I'll take the original offer. And I say, sorry, the original offer is over, and you sue me. Rodrigo, can you get the original offer back?
No, because you refused the first offer.
Correct. It doesn't matter if you change the price, you change the quantity, you change the date of delivery, you change the payment. If I say, Carlotta, I'll rent you this apartment, 1,000 RMB per month cash. And Carlotta says, well, I can't pay cash, but I can pay credit card. Did she accept my offer? No. My offer was 100% clear. You can't change anything. Whoever makes the offer is the master of the offer, and you can make any offer you want. I can say you have to pay me in pennies while you're wearing a black hat. I can say whatever I want, as long as it's legal. You can either accept or you can reject. That's it. There's no such thing as negotiation. You accept an offer or you reject an offer. And if you reject it, you make a new offer, and that's a counter offer. What about this though? So we're talking on the telephone. I say, I'll sell you 100 books, $2 each. You accept, and we discuss everything. You know, how you're going to pay me, when I'm going to send it to you, everything. So I send you an email confirming, and a few days later, you send me back an email, but now there's a new part. And it says, I have to guarantee the books will be in good condition when they arrive. And the letter says, if I don't agree, we don't have a contract. Crystal, in fact, I don't agree. My company is in America, your company is in China. We never talked about this thing on the phone. And that's going to be really expensive for me if I have to guarantee good condition from America to China. That could be very expensive. So I don't agree. You know, I think what we talked about on the telephone should be the whole contract. And you say, no, no, no. Okay, fine, David, no contract. Do we have a contract?
Yes, but I think it's the contract we made over the phone, because you cannot introduce a new term after we have agreed.
Okay, good. Good. That's a good explanation. You are correct. There is a contract at those original terms. I made you 100% clear offer for these books. And you, as a reasonable customer, knew that this was, or you were reasonable to believe that this was an offer. It's clear I made it only to you. It was a fixed purpose, and it was 100% clear, definite, and precise. You accepted the offer. That's it. We have a contract. And like you said, I can't introduce a new clause. We learned that in task A with these exclusion clauses. You can't just introduce a new clause after the contract is already agreed. Okay, let's review this for a second, then we'll take a break. So what do we know so far? Let's do a little summary of offer. We know the definition. That's the first thing. It's a proposal to create a contract. Number two, we know the reasonable person test, which is subjective. Then we also know the fixed purpose test and the Lefkowitz rule. We also know the invitation to treat and counter offers. Okay, that's everything we've learned so far, except maybe also we do know what is an option contract. Tiffany, can you tell me what's an option contract? In law, K just means contract. Tiffany, you here? Yeah,
It's just
what's an
another
option
word
contract?
for voidable contract. Maybe.
It's not about voidable. I mean, that is something we also learned here. What's an option contract? I mean, I get the reason you're saying that, because option sounds like choice. But anybody remember what's an option contract?
It's a contract that gives you the right, or
The right or the option.
or option to purchase anything in the future.
How do you get it? How do you get that right?
Yeah, you're giving like a compensation or
What's that called?
deposit.
Deposit.
Deposit,
Okay, an
yes.
option contract is where you pay a deposit. That's what it is. You pay a deposit, and then you have the option to buy the thing if you want. Could be an apartment. We use it with apartments and homes all the time. This is where it's most common, right? That I like it, but I'm not sure. I'll give you a deposit now. Now, what if you change your mind? Do you get your deposit back?
No.
No.
What is your deposit buying?
Buying
To keep the
the
stuff.
option to buy in the future.
Yes, you're buying
the
time.
buying time.
Yep, I'm saying I will sell you this time for you to make a decision. And if you decide you don't want to buy it, okay, but you paid for that time and I gave you that time.
But you cannot not selling it in the future if I deposit you the money, right?
I
You are
cannot
obliged
sell it for this time. You have the option to buy it if you want for this week or this month or, whatever. You bought that time belongs to you. Good. Okay, let's take a 10-minute break before we go on to the next one, acceptance.
David, I have a question.
Sure.
It's about this is related to the coursework midterm, but is not actually exactly in the question. So, for example, the services provided, these services in himself, like the core or the nature of these services, is to me an harm or a risk or a danger to the society. It's like if my services or my goods, like for example, a gun, I create a gun, naturally in himself is against the nature. It's like is a kind of a natural wrong, kind of. Unless you buy the gun to kill an animal, now you can. But if you use it against human, you know that you harm someone, right? Unless you have to know from your side as a policeman or as a, I don't know, a private agent to do security for a star, you can, unless you have the law on your side. So for example, the nature of the services, which is a menu, which is like kind of a poison, is naturally, to me, illegal. But I don't know if I can use it as an argument.
This is the correct term. Inherently dangerous.
Yeah.
So there are things that are inherently dangerous. One example would be, and there are many cases about this, a tiger. Some people who are rich want to buy a tiger, and they buy a tiger and then they're out walking with their tiger, or they have their tiger in their Lamborghini and the tiger bites someone. And they say, let's say, Florian, you come up to my Lamborghini and you're like, hey, big kitty cat. And then the tiger bites you. And I told you, Florian, don't stick your hand in the car. I told you. It's still my fault. It doesn't matter because a tiger is naturally dangerous. It just doesn't matter, really. Unless you did something really negligent. If you took a rock and started throwing it at the tiger outside, something that was really, really dangerous, then I could say that that's crazy. What Florian did was crazy. The tiger would never hurt him, but he did that. Aside from that, I have some responsibility. I have an automatic duty of care because it's inherently dangerous. Buses, trains are inherently dangerous. And drugs are also inherently dangerous. They're just dangerous. They just are completely.
Okay, and the other question was like, the scheme is like, for example, argument, explanation of the argument, and illustration by example. And basically the example is the case, and you summarize the case and explain the result of the case. So this is like the, how do you say, the theory.
That structure is fine. The only thing is don't describe the case too much.
Okay. Yeah, because
if you're describing a case that we talked about in class, like Ali v. Marlborough Court Limited, if you want to say a woman goes into a hotel and loses her coat, cool. But
Okay,
if
keep
you
it.
want to say there was a woman named Miss Ollie and she went to a hotel, and in the hotel she put her money on the counter, and there was a sign behind the counter and it said, it's like, come on, man. I know, of course I know, I'm the one who told you. Don't tell
Yeah.
me what I told you.
Exactly.
But if it's a case we didn't learn in class and you want to give me a few sentences to explain what it's about, that's great.
But actually, there's a lot of example. But I took some quote, sorry, from the code, especially with the code which give the limitation about exclusive causes.
Yes, so that's the one where it needs things from the code.
Yeah.
Everything else uses cases, and that's harder to find cases about.
Yeah.
Those individual, you'd need more time and probably better access than Google. You know, lawyers have access to better websites that have more court cases.
Oh, yeah, which one?
It's called LexisNexis.
Okay.
And it's like, you know, a law firm or a law school would have that, just like a university, you know, like Donghua has EBSCO-host. That costs a lot of money. You know, different universities decide which one they want. Yes, LexisNexis. And you can look online. I don't know how much it costs, but I'm sure it's expensive.
Oh, can we find a cheap one? A free one, sorry. There's no way to
No,
crack it?
this is, how much is LexisNexis? Let me see, can I find
No,
out?
I don't care about the price. I don't even know.
No, now
But
I'm
there's no way
curious.
to
You got me
crack it.
curious. Can I minimize you?
There
No,
is
I
a way,
can't
I'm sure.
minimize you.
From all the student law, like the law student, no one. Now,
It's
obviously,
not even
there's-
for students. Okay, let's find out. How much is LexisNexis? Okay. Oh, maybe some of them are cheap. So for standard cases, $24
per
each
link.
time you click.
So you mean per
$24
cases?
per
case.
per case.
Are you for real?
And if you
Then
wanted
obviously,
premium, it's
you really want-
$42 per case you look at. And if you want really like depositions and pleas, it's $80 a case. Yeah, it's no joke.
This is the reason why.
No, this is great. Look, you can get a 1.5% discount. All you need to do is spend more than $10,000 a month. You want a big discount? You want a 10% discount? All you need to do is spend $90,000 a month. When I say it's expensive, I am not kidding. Yeah.
So now I understand, like when they give you this automatic, how do you say, lawyer that you never actually wanted to hire, is like you work for free. This you will never win the case, because if this your lawyer is broke, he will not have the argument to help you in the court.
No,
He don't
those
have the-
lawyers do. Those lawyers have this. The government pays for it.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's not the problem. The problem with being, because I used to work at legal aid, you know, the problem isn't that we didn't have access to cases. The problem is we had like 25 cases per person, where if you're a private lawyer, you might have one case or two cases. You can spend all day working on your arguments. You can spend, it's not that they have different or better access, it's just you can spend all day on it. When you're working defending the people publicly, you might have 20 people to defend. You just don't have the time.
So why would you take them? Don't take them then.
You're poor. What if you're poor?
You cannot
Rich
afford
people
it.
don't.
Because
Rich
if
people
Yes.
don't
okay,
take these
I take your
lawyers.
case, you pay me, or the government pay me, and then the only thing I come to tell you is, oh, they offer a play deal. You should take this play deal. Did I work?
Yeah, because you needed that plea deal. How else were you going to get that plea deal? Imagine you're someone, look, people who are poor are not usually very, very well educated in the traditional way.
Yeah, I
No,
see
so you're
what
talking about somebody who maybe didn't go to college, maybe even didn't finish high school. You want them to understand how to negotiate a plea deal. They might not even know what a plea deal is. You might not even be able to get them to go online to look up what a plea deal is. You know, the job of a lawyer is to just be able to figure out, yes, you're right. Sometimes lawyers just sort of, I mean, a lot of jobs. I was talking today to, or yesterday to a guy I met who's a pharmacist. And I said, what do you do as a pharmacist? I don't really know. And he said, well, these days, the doctor calls the prescription, and then the machine puts all the medicine together, and we press a button, and then the machine opens, and then I take your medicine and give it to you. And I said, but I understand pharmacists need to take all kinds of courses in university. They need to understand chemistry, organic chemistry, biology. It's like so hard to become a pharmacist. And he said, yeah, it's hard to become one. But once you are one, the machine does all the work. So yeah, there are lots of times that lawyers just take plea deals and things like that. It's true, lawyers are much too expensive. It can be really crazy how much they are. I mean,
Yeah,
look, you
but
saw
actually, it's not only the public lawyer that sometimes want to do the plea to set up.
no,
Even
lots
when
of
you pay,
lawyers want to do
yeah,
that. Lawyers don't want to go to court.
yeah, exactly.
You always want to take the plea deal.
Yeah, I like I was watching like the 25 top 25 movies of law by I don't know where I searched in the internet, and the most movies are like true history, and always it's in the beginning they try to set up settle.
Sure. I mean,
Always,
the
always. Even the
prosecutor,
judge,
because
the
both
judge
of them are
read
so
and say,
busy.
yeah, the judge said, okay, you set up and we go back and discuss. And
Well,
yeah,
in the
sometimes,
law, in most places, before you can go to court, you need to prove to the judge that
yeah,
both sides could not make an agreement. And if the judge says, I think you can, the judge can say, we're not going to court yet. Go back in that room and discuss it more. We're not going to court. It's very expensive for the state, for the government to go to court.
exactly.
I mean, it's not cheap. You have to pay the judges, the bailiffs, the witnesses, the jurors. You have to use the building, the room. I mean, it's all very, very expensive. So the government doesn't want to go to court.
There's a movie called The Verdict. It's from 1982. It's just exactly like this. The judge says no, you can settle. You can settle. I'm not accepting this. Sit
Yeah.
and settle.
The best movie, I think, is 12 Angry Men. That's a good
I watched
movie.
this as well, but it's like a white and black,
Yeah,
right?
black and white.
Very old, yes.
Okay, wait, I need to go to the bathroom. I'll be right back. Okay. Yeah, LexisNexis is super expensive. But it's one of those things. It's one of those reasons that lawyers charge so much money, is the resource for lawyers is so ridiculously expensive. It doesn't need to be. I mean, you saw those prices, $90,000 a month. I mean, how is that real? That's so crazy. But I remember using it. It's pretty amazing. It has every court case, all of them, just all of them, everywhere, all the court cases. Okay.
Sorry, Davey, I have a questions about the option contract.
Yeah.
So let's say I pay a deposit. So the landlord actually regrets and just like, okay, I decided to sell to someone, I pay you back the deposit, I return you the deposit. Can he do that? Or there's some sort of compensation that he has to make?
So let's be clear here. Let's say you and I have, I make you an offer. I offer to sell you 1,000 laptop computers. And you're not sure. You're not sure if you want to do this. So you say you'll give me $1,000 US, and you'd like to make the decision by December 1st. I say, okay, I take your $1,000 and we sign a contract. I say you have until December 1st to decide if you want these laptops. And now tomorrow, you decide you don't want them. You want to know, can you give me back the $1,000 and I release you from this contract?
Yeah, actually, my point is I'm asking for your side. Can you just don't want to continue this offer and return my deposit?
No, I have sold you time. That time belongs to you now. So if tomorrow Florian says he wants to buy the computers for 10 times the price, I sold you that time. Now, what could I do? Break the contract. I can always break the contract. If he really, let's say Florian is, a world famous, he's Microsoft, okay? He's the VP of Microsoft, and I want to do business with him. I don't care. I'll pay you the money. You want to sue me? Go ahead, sue me. It's so worth it for me to break the contract. People do. You can always break a contract, but there's a penalty here. You're going to sue me, or I'm going to have to pay you.
Okay. Just very hard to decide the amount, right? Because it is not on the contract yet. Like everything is a contract, it's just my deposit amount.
No, we agreed how much the computers would cost. I offered to sell you because it's an offer, so it had to be clear. I can't just say I offer to sell you computers. If you don't know the price, that's not an offer. It had to be clear, definite, and precise. So I said, I'm going to sell you these computers for $10,000, or let's say $100,000 for all these computers. And you're going to give me 1,000 to keep the option open. So we know the price of the computers.
Okay.
Okay. Let's keep going. Now we know the price of LexisNexis. Okay, so now on to the next one. We've done everything I want to say about offer. Next is acceptance. So again, I'm going to do the same thing. I want you to know the definition, the test, and then some additional cases about it. So we'll start with the definition. 4 words. Buyer's demonstration of agreement. This is the definition that I want from all of you. Now, of course, because I want the same definitions from all of you, your similarity index is always going to be high in law class, way higher. People have like a 30% similarity on the midterms and everything. Of course they do, because I'm asking everybody for the same definitions. Don't worry about your similarity index. So this is the definition, the buyer's demonstration of agreement. And the key word here is really demonstration. How do you demonstrate that you agree? So if I say, hey, Crystal, I will sell you these computers for whatever, $10,000. Now, how could Crystal agree? Of course, you could sign your name to a contract. You could shake my hand. You could nod. You could take money out of, let's say you have a bag with money in it and you put the bag on the table. Is that agreement? Are you demonstrating that you agree?
Yes.
Sure. Now, what if I say, I'll sell you these computers for $10,000 and you take out a briefcase of money and you put it on the table and you push it over to me. But secretly, you don't really want, here's what you plan to do, Crystal. You plan to say, haha, and pull it away. You just wanted to show me that you had so much money. Do we have a contract as soon as you push that briefcase over to me? Yes, we do. Because the test for acceptance is not subjective. The test is objective. It's an objective test. It's also called the fly on the wall test. So in the law, flies, like zzz, flies are very smart. They're very, very smart. They can speak every language, but they don't understand sarcasm or jokes. They're very serious. So flies are geniuses, but they're very serious. So the fly doesn't understand jokes or sarcasm. But he's on the wall and he saw me say, Crystal, I will sell you these computers for $10,000. The fly saw that. And the fly saw you put the money on the counter and push it over to me. What does the fly think happened? Does the fly think you accepted?
Yes.
Then you did. It doesn't matter what you think in your heart. Makes no difference. Because this is really important to us. Because if we allow you to say, oh, I didn't mean to do that, I was just kidding. How can we ever have a contract? How can I ever trust you? You could always say you were just kidding if you didn't like the deal. So we can't have that. So it doesn't matter what you intended. This doesn't work because one party, that's me, has no way to know your secret intentions. We can't have these contracts if one person has secret intentions. It doesn't work. So we have this magic fly on the wall. Now, what about the idea of, I say, Jody, I will sell you my computer for $10,000. If you want to agree, say nothing. Cool, great, we have a contract. Can I do that, Jody?
I don't know.
Florian, you're saying no, why not?
No, because I can say also the contract is you will give me $1 billion. You just need to breathe. Breathe. It's something which
If you
is
agree, just breathe and don't say anything.
Yeah, exactly. And then because the contract, oh yeah, actually this is a law. It said unfair contract that from the two parts, the contract must be fair, which means one side must not too much win or too much lose with the contract. So I think from this law you cannot.
But let me change the example then. Every month I get I get 20 Lenovo computers delivered from China. I have a lot of friends in China and they deliver me these computers. And every month I sell them to Jody. And we've been doing this for 2 years. Okay, every month I get the computers and every month I sell them to Jody. Now this month, my friends sell me the 20 computers and I send them to Jody. And now Jody says, oh, David, I didn't want them this month. Does he have to pay me for the computers this month? Jody, do you have to pay me?
But if there was a contract that you need to
No
pay.
contract.
No contract? Yeah, you don't need to. I mean,
No,
like I can reject it
I
anytime.
do need to pay you.
no, there is a problem because like in the exclusive clauses, the only way to change an exclusive clauses or to keep it going, if you usually in the former contract used to do it, you don't need to mention it again because we continue. So it's the same for this
So
one.
we'd call this past circumstances. So because in the past, we always did it this way. Now, if you want to change it, Jody, you needed to tell me.
Or you
I
need to
was
put it in
reasonable.
contract.
Remember, we just got to think about this idea of reasonable. Is it reasonable for me to think that I can get the 20 Lenovo computers and sell them to you? Sure, we've been doing it every month for 3 years. Of course, I think it's reasonable. Now, if you want to change that, even though you never said yes, it's silent, you would need to tell me. Now, there's another situation where silence is okay, which is if you take this is number kind of 1 and 4 are really the same. So let's say here's service, here's property. But let's say with property, I have a Wi-Fi password, okay? Like a VPN. I have a VPN. And I've told everybody, here's my password. And if you want to use it, you have to pay me $100 a month. Just anybody, if you want to use it, you have to pay me. And then Crystal uses it. Does she have to pay me?
Yes.
Even though we never had a contract. I didn't have a contract with you, Crystal. I just said, if anybody uses it, they have to pay me. You used it, so you have to pay me, right? You're the offeree. I'm the offerer. I made an offer to you. You have exercised dominion, that means control, over the property. Then you accept it. And it's the same with a service. Let's say that everybody knows that I teach Chinese and everybody knows my Chinese lessons are 500 an hour. So Florian, you come to my office and you say, hey, David, are you free after work to teach me some Chinese? And I say, sure. So after work, you and I go to a coffee shop and I teach you Chinese for 2 hours. Do you owe me the money? Yeah, you knew my price. It doesn't matter that you and I didn't make a contract. You knew. You took advantage of services that cost money. You knew they cost money. You can't say, well, I didn't have a contract with you. Now, other than that, we do need the objective test, the meeting of the minds. Let's look at an example. I offer to sell you my computer on Friday at 2 p.m., front gate of Donghua, 8,000 RMB, and you agree to meet me there, and we sign a written contract. This is me and Harry and I. Okay, Harry, I make you this deal. Now, Friday at 2 p.m., your friend comes with the money. You sent your friend Juan with the money. And Juan says, oh, sorry, man, Harry was really busy. And he has a note. Do I need to sell the computer to Juan, Harry?
I don't think so because he's not the offeree.
Correct. An offer can only be accepted by the offeree. I didn't make an offer to Juan, I made an offer to you. Now, what about this fact that he had a note? We'll learn that later in the semester when we talk about agency, but he didn't have an agent contract with you. Harry, let me change it a little. So now, same deal. I'm going to sell you the computer Friday, 2 p.m., front gate, 8,000. We sign a contract. You're late. You come at 2:30, but I'm still there. And the computer's with me. Do I have to sell it to you?
Probably not because the contract says 2 p.m.
That's it. The contract says 2. It doesn't say 1:55 and it doesn't say 2:55 and it doesn't matter. It says 2. That's what it says. No late acceptances. What about this? I offer to sell you the computer, but I tell you, you must send me the money by postal mail. On Thursday, you see me walking down the hall. I have the computer and you have the cash in your hand. Do I need to sell you the computer?
No, it's not in the contract.
No.
You don't.
So what's the point here?
The mirror, like you have to do what the contract says.
Exactly. Okay. Whatever the contract says, you can accept that or you can reject that. That's it. There's no other way. You can't change anything. If you accept an offer, then you have accepted it the way it is. And acceptance must match exactly. So what do we know so far? This is a very important rule, by the way. I 100% guarantee you this will be on the final test. No question at all. I consider the mirror rule very important. So what do we know so far? We know the definition. It's the buyer's demonstration of agreement. We know the test, which is called the objective test or the fly on the wall. Junpyo, can you explain that to me? What does the fly on the wall mean?
So the fly is not sarcastic, so he just understand what he heard, like as the word says.
Or what he saw.
Yeah, or what he saw.
Good. And then we understand the mirror rule, that the acceptance has to match the offer exactly. There can be no difference whatsoever. You can't change anything. Now, here's another rule, and this is called the postal rule. The postal rule is only good in common law countries, so it's not good in China, but it is good in America and England. And this is a legal fiction. Now, we've talked a little bit about legal fictions so far, things that are not true, like a fly that can understand languages, but in the law, we say it's true. If you remember res ipsa loquitur, what does that mean, Jody? What's res ipsa loquitur?
What? Sorry, I forgot.
Anybody? What's res ipsa loquitur?
The things speaks by themselves.
Okay, good. Tiffany, what does that mean? The thing speaks for itself?
When some negligence is conducted, usually it would be something that tells the judge without actual witnesses.
Okay, good. Something that tells the judge. And of course, it doesn't really tell the judge because it can't talk, but in the law, it can. Can you give me an example?
There's a construction site, and then a chainsaw fell on a man and cut him in half.
Dark example. Okay. Sure. And if the man wanted to sue, or I guess his family wanted to sue the construction company, they just have to prove their damages because the chainsaw can talk. Chainsaws don't just fall, right? So what would the chainsaw say? Someone dropped me. That's what it would say. It doesn't matter if we don't know who. Now, that's a legal fiction. It's not true. Here's another one. When you're in America or England and you make a contract by letter. Now, of course, this doesn't happen very much anymore. But let's say I'm making a contract with Tiffany by letter. So obviously this was more in the past, but I write you a letter, okay? And I say, dear Tiffany, right now I can sell you this coffee for $10 per pound. Signed, David. Okay, $10 per pound. You can pay me with Visa. I can send it to you by FedEx. It'll take you 5 days. I'm in California right now. I love writing letters. Let's write letters instead of email. I think letters are more personal, whatever. But I'm telling you everything. And I signed David. Now, Tiffany, you get this letter in the mail. And you open it and you're like, oh, this is a good price. So you take out a piece of paper and you write down, dear David, I accept your offer. I would like to buy 100 pounds of coffee. Sincerely, Tiffany. Okay, you take the letter, you put it in an envelope. Now, here's the fiction. You put this envelope into the mailbox, right? I'm in California. Did I get the letter yet?
No, but the postal office is a third party that is like verifies it, and then whenever the letter said, it's like
Okay,
there's the
so
third party
I
that
understand your point.
says,
Let's say that right now you're in New York and I'm in California, and you put this letter into the mailbox in New York. Did I get the letter in California yet? Yes. That's the legal fiction. That time between you put it in the mailbox in New York City and I receive it in California, that time doesn't exist. In the law, we're going to cut away all of that time and throw it away and connect. You put it in the mailbox and I got it. It's not true, of course, just like it's not true that a thing can talk, and it's not true that flies are smart. It's not true, but we're going to do it anyway. So why would we do this? Now, they don't do this in China. In China, the law is we don't have a contract until I actually am holding the letter in California or in Beijing. But in America or England or common law countries, we do this. And the question is really about, who does it protect? So let's say that I have a contract. Okay, I make a contract with Tiffany, and Tiffany, I'm going to sell you, let's say, I'm going to sell let's go back to coffee. Okay, so I'm going to sell all of this coffee to Tiffany. Now I make this contract and I write it on the letter to Tiffany. Tiffany, you there? Yeah. Okay, so I write this contract to Tiffany, and Tiffany, you send this letter, I accept in the mail, and the next day I sell it all to Jody. Okay? I think Tiffany is frozen, but Jody, you can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I said I was going to sell it to Tiffany, but then I sold it all to Jody the next day. Now, when the letter gets to me, let's say it takes 5 days to get to me. And then I say, Tiffany, oh, I'm so sorry. I already sold all the coffee to Jody. Now, we already learned before you accept a contract, I can terminate my offer. What does that mean? I need you guys to understand that sentence. Carlotta, please explain that to me. Here's the sentence. Before you accept the contract, I can terminate my offer.
You can take back your offer. It's no longer like important what you were gonna offer.
Good.
Yeah.
You're right. So I made this offer to Tiffany, Carlotta. I made this offer to Tiffany, but of course I didn't get her letter yet because it's going to take a few days to get to California. And the next day I sell it to Jody. So theoretically, Tiffany and I don't have a contract, right? I sold it to Jody before I got her acceptance. Now, here's the problem. In the past, I'm talking like the 1900s, how could you do business like that? Every time that you go to accept something by mail, you don't even know if the other person got your acceptance. You can't call them. You can't email them. There wasn't email. There weren't telephones. You couldn't WeChat them. You don't even know if you have a contract. So how can Tiffany try to make money? Tiffany wants to buy this coffee from me, and then she wants to turn around and sell it to Junpyo and sell it to Harry and sell it to Crystal. But how can she make contracts? She doesn't even know if I got her acceptance. And, back in the 1900s, it wasn't just 5 days to get to California. It might have been weeks. You understand, if we have this, that I can make an offer to Tiffany and then I don't have to keep it until I get her letter, she's never going to ever be able to do business with me. So how do we fix this? Carlotta, how do we fix this? What does this rule say?
It allows, so the buyer, once the buyer already accepts the deal, it's done. The other person cannot terminate it, right?
Right. Now, when Tiffany put the letter in the mail, did I know that?
No.
Good. And it doesn't matter. Now, this is bad for me, right?
Yeah.
It's bad for me because let's say I turn around and I sell this coffee to Jody, and then in 5 days I get Tiffany's letter and I'm like, oh my God, now what do? I sold my coffee, but I actually do have a contract with Tiffany. I'm going to need to go buy more coffee and sell it to Tiffany. And the reason we'll do this is, who does this protect? The buyer or the seller?
The buyer.
Buyer.
Correct. And that's the person with less money. And in America or England, I mean, look, these countries have gone crazy now, but we're talking about early law. And the idea is we have to protect the person who's weak. The seller has power. We don't need to protect the seller. We need to protect the buyer. And so they made this rule to protect the weak buyer. The classic example of this was a company that was selling silk. It was called Adam v. Linzel. It was in 1818. So this is a pretty old rule. And in this case, you had the defendant who was selling wool. And the defendant mailed an offer to the plaintiff, but the defendant mailed it to the wrong address. So the plaintiff got it late. And the plaintiff then immediately accepted, but because of the delay, defendant had already sold it to somebody else. And the court said, yeah, if there's a contract, it doesn't matter that you sent it to the wrong address. We are going to protect the buyer. As soon as the buyer wrote, I accept your offer, and put it in the mail, you had a contract. Now, this is useful for us to know, not just because of history, but also that if you're doing business in a common law country, you can use this. You can still do contracts by letter. And as soon as you put it into the mail, you do have a contract. But it's also important to understand so that we understand what they use today, like in China. So in China, they use the opposite, which is called the receipt theory. This is used in all civil law countries. And this is really the international rule. So that postal rule, that's really, sorry. Oh, my ear itches. Oh, why you itch? That's really only used in common law countries. The receipt theory is pretty much used everywhere else around the world. And that says, we don't have a contract until you receive it. So it doesn't matter that Tiffany put it in the mail, it makes no difference. We don't have a contract until I got her acceptance. We also use this for anything that's instantaneous. Email, fax, WeChat, WhatsApp, anything like that. Anything that's instant, you don't have a contract until the other person received it. Not necessarily saw it, received it. If I send a contract to Tiffany by email, okay, I email a contract to Tiffany, and then Tiffany writes back an email, Dear David, I accept your contract, and I never open her email. Did I get it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I got it. It doesn't matter if you can't you can't play that game, You have to, if you're doing business with somebody, you have to open their emails. You have to see what they said. You can't just ignore them and pretend there's no contract.
Sir, but do you think is that fair for the seller? I mean, like the seller doesn't know before when the buyer accept the offer.
The seller, well, let's say I'm selling something to you, and you,
like
are you talking about an email or a letter?
The letter, the postal rule.
Okay, is that unfair to the seller? Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, just like that. But
it's fair.
I mean,
to
like
buyer.
the court, but takes. Yeah.
That's it. You have to protect someone.
Okay.
So do you want to protect the seller or the buyer? And the common law court said, we want to protect the buyer. They're the one with less power. We'll protect them. Otherwise, I'm the seller. I could offer to sell you coffee and then immediately look for other people to buy it. And then when I get your letter, I say, oh, sorry, man, I already sold it. And I'm just going to keep doing that. I'm just going to keep hurting the buyers. I'll make them offers and then immediately look for other people to sell it to, because I don't care. We don't want that. We'd rather hurt the sellers. There's one more thing I want to talk about in acceptance, and we'll jump ahead. This isn't that important. You can read that on your own. The battle of the forms, though, I do want to talk about today. The battle of the forms. So most times, most people are not lawyers. And let's say that I'm doing business. Okay, I'm going to do business with Rodrigo. Rodrigo, you still here?
Yes.
Okay, your camera's off, so I don't know. But I want to do business with you. So you're not a lawyer. So what you do is you go to Google. Okay, you go to Google and you download some forms, right? You look for, like, let's say we're doing import export. Where do you live?
Bolivia.
Great. So you're going to send me something from Bolivia and I'm going to sell it in America. And I say, okay, Rodrigo, you make the contract. You say, cool. You go to Google, you search for like import export contracts, you find some stuff. And I do that too. I search. This is how most people do business. You know, most people in a small business are not hiring a lawyer to make their contract. You're finding stuff on Google, or you're, you know, pretty much. Now, here's the problem. On the back of your form, on the back of your form, there's a bunch of little legal writing. And on the back of my form, there's a bunch of little legal writing. And what happens if they're not the same? What happens if on the back of your form, for example, it says, delivery can be 2 hours late. And on the back of my form, it says delivery can't be late, or I don't have to pay anything. Well, what do? Because the two forms say different things. And in law, we call this the battle of the forms. So this often happens when you're in different countries and the contract says, like your contract might say, we use Bolivian law. And my contract might say we use American law. But we both signed these. So what do? Do we use American or Bolivian law? Or the idea that, you know, your stuff says it can't be late, or it can be 2 hours late, and my contract says it can't be late. These are things that happen a lot when people find their own forms on the internet. So the first thing we need to understand, as I said before, the court does not want to break a contract. And I said this last class towards the end. Why doesn't the court want to break a contract? Anybody remember? Well, let me ask it this way. Why doesn't the court want to break a marriage? You know, it's not that easy to get divorced in most places, right? You can't just walk in and get divorced. You need to prove that you can't live together. In China, you need to be separated for 2 years before you can get a divorce. In many places, you need to be separated for a long time before you can get a divorce. Why? Aruni, why? Why can't people just get a divorce like that?
It's a contract, right?
To get divorced.
Sorry?
They don't want them to get divorced.
Why not? Who cares?
People could
Is
get
it
hurt.
because it's a contract? Like,
Yeah, but forget about the fact that it's a contract. Forget about that. I want to know why the court cares if people get divorced. Florian, why does the court care? I mean, the court definitely does around the world.
Because you write change, your statute change. The
Yeah, but they can
relationship
change back.
change.
But they could change
Huh?
back.
So, say it again.
They could change back.
Get back married, that's what you say?
No, I mean, if you get divorced, then your rights go backwards. You just become two single people. What's the problem? Anybody? What's
Maybe
the problem?
break the promise?
The contract as a wife and husband and wife, the contract, legal relationship.
Yeah, but so what?
I think it's like as you said, the very beginning of the last class. The good thing of the contract, it's like you put two persons that they don't know each other and make them kind of obligate them to keep their promises. This is the beautiful thing of the contract.
So
Yeah, when they breach it, it's like you lost this kind of beautiful thing that two person that doesn't just connected at all.
So I agree with that. I think that that is true. Why don't courts want people to get divorced? Well, is marriage important in the world?
Yes.
If you can get divorced like this, then is marriage very important? Is it a serious thing?
No.
If you
No.
can, then no.
No, go with your girlfriend on Friday night, get married, it's romantic, and then get divorced on Saturday. Who cares? Doesn't mean anything. You know, marriage is the foundation of how families raise children. I mean, it's so crucial. Now, of course, in the modern world, things are changing, but for all of, you know, modern history, marriage has been a very important institution, something the courts do not want to devalue. And if you let people just get divorced like that, what's the value of marriage? Then the marriage commitment has no value. And it's the same thing with a contract. Yeah, I mean, not as serious, but if the court lets you just break a contract, then what's the value of a contract? The court doesn't want people to break contracts. Contracts are sacred. They are, as Nicola said, they are the thing that allows two people who don't know each other to trust each other. Because we have this third party, the government, the law, that says, even if you don't know each other, we are going to make sure you can trust each other. So the courts don't want to break contracts. Now, if there's a minor change, something very, very small, as long as you tell the other side in a reasonable period of time, then it's okay. So let's say that I had a contract with, who is my contract with? Rodrigo. My contract is with Rodrigo, and I am going to buy your stuff from Bolivia, okay? And in my contract on the back, it says that everything needs to be delivered in cardboard boxes with tape all around the top and the bottom. And your contract on the back says the tape only needs to be around the bottom. I mean, that's not a big deal, right? And therefore, even though those two contracts are a little bit different, it's very minor. But if it's major, if it materially alters the contract, like it says, you say Bolivian law, I say American law, that's very big. Now it's not a contract, it's a counteroffer. You made me an offer to buy this product using Bolivian law. And if I say, if my contract on the back says American law, I have rejected your offer to buy it using Bolivian law, and I've made a new counteroffer. Junpyo, what's a counteroffer?
Counter offer is I forgot.
Anybody? What's a counteroffer?
Yeah, it's a rejection.
Why
Counter
you reject
offer.
an offer?
Good. It's a rejection and then a new offer. So
Yeah.
if Rodrigo offered me a contract using Bolivian law, now did I know that? No, I didn't know that. It was on the back of his contract in tiny letters. I didn't know, but it doesn't matter. I made him a counteroffer. He made me the offer to use Bolivian law, and I said no. I offered him to use American law. You know, so if it's anything big, so what do we mean by big? Anything that has to do with the price, the payment, the quality, the quantity, place of delivery, time of delivery. You know, are we going to go to court or are we going to go to a tribunal? Anything that's big is a counteroffer. Now, this is not something I would usually ask on a test, really, but I do need you to know it. So, okay, let's do a quick summary. What have we learned now in acceptance? We've learned the definition. which is the buyer's demonstration of agreement. We've learned the test, which is the objective test. And we have learned the mirror rule, postal rule, receipt theory, and battle of the forms. So it's quite a bit of stuff that we've learned in acceptance. Anything else in acceptance? I
So
think that's
in
pretty-
acceptance, the only test is the fly one.
Yes, it's
And-
the only
okay.
test. Okay, yeah. Okay, let's keep going. I won't keep you too much longer, but let's take maybe 10 or 15 more minutes. Okay, so we're still in contract 1. Want to see something fun? Did I show you my favorite crazy laws? This is fun.
No.
So there's some crazy laws throughout the world, but especially in America, there's some really crazy laws. Now, one of the big reasons that we still have these laws is in politics. If someone tries to change the law, then their opponent will go in the news and say, this person wants to change the law. And so people don't change it. But we have some really old laws. And this goes to the question of like, what is a law really? But these are some of my favorites in America. So in Arkansas, the river can rise no higher than to the Main Street Bridge. That's a law about the river. In California, it's illegal to drive more than 2,000 sheep down Hollywood Boulevard at any time. You cannot bathe 2 babies in the bathtub at the same time. In Florida, if you tie an elephant to a parking meter, you have to pay the same money you would for a car in Florida. My favorite, I think, is this one from Indiana. The value of pi is 4. That's the law. Very funny.
But how do they
Kentucky?
come with this? Like, how do they come with these laws?
How, I don't know. I don't know how they got to that law. That's a weird law. In Kentucky, every citizen has to take a shower once a year. In Massachusetts, no gorillas allowed in the back seat. In Nevada, it's illegal for men with mustaches to kiss women. That's good. I love this law. It's against the law for a monster to enter the limits of this city in Illinois. That's a fantastic law. Such a smart law.
So Indiana, the pi, you mean pi is that circle thing that measure, the
The circumference.
area of circle. This one.
Pi.
So Indiana, the circle is like, I don't know, bigger than other places in
Nobody
but same
really is
size.
going to do this. No, I mean, if you're doing math in a university in Indiana, of course, pi is not 4. That would be crazy. It's just a law.
Okay.
In
Can they
Illinois,
break
it's against
law?
the law to make love while hunting or fishing on your wedding day. Kentucky, anyone who has been drinking is sober until he or she cannot hold on to the ground. Also, Kentucky, you can't transport an ice cream cone in your pocket. It's illegal for pigeons to fly over the city of Bellevue, Kentucky. It's a good one. In North Carolina, you can't sing off key. In Oklahoma, you can't take a bite out of another person's hamburger. That's good. In Utah, it's illegal not to drink milk, which is great. In Minnesota, it's illegal to pass a cow without tipping your hat to say hello.
So what
In
happens? if you
Wyoming,
don't do it. Like, what is going to happen to you?
you
Are
can be
these laws
arrested.
actually enforced?
You can
You're
be
actually
arrested.
arrested.
No, but nobody does these things. Nobody really knows these laws. They're just these crazy old laws that exist in America. In Wyoming, unless you have an official permit, you can't take a picture of a rabbit. In New Hampshire, you cannot tap your feet, nod your head, or keep time to the music in a tavern, restaurant, or cafe. I like this one. In Oklahoma, dogs must have a permit, not people. The dogs have to get a permit signed by the mayor to organizing groups of 3 or more. In Tennessee, you can't use a lasso, that's like a rope, to catch a fish. In Texas, criminals have to give their victims 24 hours notice to explain the nature of the crime that they're going to commit. So if you want to commit a crime, you need to tell people 24 hours before and tell them why you're going to commit the crime. In Vermont, it's illegal to paint a horse. In Washington, if you want to commit a crime, you have to stop at the city limits and telephone the chief of police. And also in Washington, it's illegal to ride an ugly horse. I love these laws. So weird.
Heard in America that like they never take away old outdated laws. They just make new ones to debunk the old one or something.
Well, they're never going to make a law that says it's not illegal to ride an ugly horse. Because if you tried to make that law, then your opponent would say, look at what Carlotta's doing. She's crazy. Let's vote her out of government and vote me in.
But
So
I feel
nobody touches these laws.
But I feel like that doesn't happen in Europe. Like when a law is so weird, I feel like they take it away, no?
Probably.
But it would be weird, like in the first place, so if someone says that, right?
These laws were weird in the first place, yeah. They didn't start out being normal. Transporting an ice cream cone in your pocket? Why is that a law? That's not a real thing, but yeah, they're just weird to begin with. Okay. That is silly. We'll do more of that later.
We are not having these laws in our final exam.
Those silly laws? Yeah, that's right. You need to know all of the silly laws in the final exam. Okay.
Should be like a bonus.
So consideration is the next one. We did offer, acceptance. Now consideration is the next one. So consideration is mostly used in common law countries. So it's not as big a deal in China, but it still is more and more used everywhere. So first, same thing, definition, test, additional facts. Definition, the price paid for a promise. That's the definition. And the test is super easy. What did the parties give each other? So that's really easy, right? The idea that a promise has a price. If I say, I promise to give you my bicycle, I don't have to. That's just a promise. But if you pay me for my promise, $1,000, you let me use your vacation house, you give me an airplane ticket, whatever it is, then we have a contract. Now, you do need to know this sentence. Consideration must be sufficient, but need not be adequate. And there are two key ideas here, sufficient and adequate. Consideration must be sufficient. Sufficient means valuable. Consideration must be valuable. What if I said, one, I will sell you my car if you just give me a lock, a piece of your hair? Is that good consideration? Juan, you're muted.
Oh, sorry, I was with my mic off. Yeah, I would say it's not sufficient. Like
Why
one hair
not?
for one car is just ridiculous, right?
Okay. What about Carlotta's hair? Carlotta has nice hair. Carlotta, I'll give you my car if you give me some of your hair. Not all of it, just some.
That's a good deal for me.
Yeah,
Bad
is
deal
your hair valuable?
No, it grows back.
What if I said, I will trade my car for Brad Pitt's hair? Is Brad Pitt's hair valuable?
It's
I
more
think it's
valuable.
part of its image.
On eBay, maybe.
What about Michael Jackson's hair? What if you had a glass box, totally vacuum, with Michael Jackson's hair from when he was 8 years old? Do you think that's valuable?
I think people would pay a lot of money for that.
I think they would too. Would it be reasonable to trade a car for that? Maybe. Is it valuable? Sure. Is it adequate? Adequate means equal. Could I trade a car for Michael Jackson's hair? Sure, because they're both valuable. Consideration must be valuable. I can't trade a car for Juan's hair because it's not. Really, that would just be an excuse to give Juan a gift, is what it would be. I'd just be giving him a gift, but calling it a contract. Like if he was my cousin or my son or something. And we don't want people to use the law that way. So it has to be valuable, but it doesn't have to be equal. Now, what if Juan is actually a poet? Not famous, you're just you, and you write some poetry. And I have seen your poetry, and I think it is beautiful. And I think someday you are going to be famous. And I say, listen, man, you have collected like 10 poems that you wrote that I think are great. I will trade you my car for these poems. Are those poems valuable?
Not in the time being, I guess. It's valuable for you, but not for.
And that's the only thing that matters. It doesn't matter if it's valuable on the market. It only matters if it's valuable to the parties, to you and I. You know, what if there was some hair from, you know, my baby when he was 2 years old? Would that be valuable to me? Absolutely. It doesn't matter if it has any value on the market. Now, Brad Pitt's hair and Michael Jackson's hair would have value, but it doesn't matter. You know, if it's your poem and I think it's valuable, if Carlotta painted a picture and I think it's worth a car, cool. Those things are not equal. My car and her picture, or my car and your poetry, they're not equal. Doesn't matter. Consideration does not need to be equal. So what did I give you and what did you give me? It could be money. It could be a promise not to smoke. It could be something that you don't do, but it has to be something. Now, there's 4 rules we need to know right at the beginning. So the test and the definition are pretty easy, right? The price paid for a promise, what did the parties give each other? But we have 4 rules at the beginning. And first of all, part payment is not good consideration. So that means, let's say that I owe money to Jody. Okay, Jody, I owe you 1,000 RMB. You lent me some money, and now I have to give you back the money, of course. And I gave you, let's say today I see Jody, and Jody, you have a nice backpack. And I say, oh man, Jody, that's such a nice backpack. Hey, Jody, if you give me that backpack, I'll give you half of the money I owe you. And you say, okay, so you give me your backpack, I give you 500. Is that good consideration? What do you think?
Yes. Good consideration.
It's good consideration, you think?
Good consideration.
Florian,
for me.
do you agree? Is that good
Yeah.
consideration? You're muted.
I don't think so.
Why not? I'm giving him 500. That's good money. That's valuable.
But the price is too high for the value of the goods.
Oh, that doesn't matter. Like I said before, I could pay $1 million for a poem. Who cares? Consideration has to be valuable, doesn't have to be equal. I could pay you $1 million for a backpack if it's worth it to me. What if that's Abraham Lincoln's backpack? It's worth $1 million. Here's the problem. I owe Jody 1,000 RMB, right? I owe him money. Jody, where are you? I owe you 1,000, right?
Yes.
I have to give you all of that. So if I give you half now, did I give you anything new? Did I give you anything that I didn't already have to give you?
Yes.
What did I give you? I have to give you 1,000
The
and I
money.
just gave you, yeah, but I already owed you that. There's nothing new here.
Yeah.
So we need to understand this. Let's look at a couple cases, see if that makes it a little more clear. So here's an old case from 1602 called Pinnell's case. So this person named Cole owed money to a person named Pinnell, owed £8.50. Cole paid part of it, £5.11 on October 1st. And Pinnell said, okay, I accept this in full settlement of the debt. But then Pinnell wanted the rest of it. And the court said, you can get the rest unless there's fresh consideration, like a horse-hawker robe, a horse-hawker robe. Maybe this isn't easy to understand because it's from 1602. Let me try to make this more clear. Aruni, you can hear me?
Yes.
Good. Aruni, you owe me 5,000 RMB. I lent you the money last semester and you owe me that money. Now, today I'm having a really good day. Like I feel happy and I had a nice talk with my mom this morning and I had a good breakfast and I see you outside and I say, you know what, Aruni, give me like 2,000 right now and we're good. And so you're like, oh my God, David, thank you so much. So you take out 2,000, you give it to me and I say, cool, have a great day. And then tomorrow I'm having a bad day. And I wake up and I'm like, what did I do? No, I want the rest of the money from Aruni. Can I get the rest of the money from you?
No,
Why?
it's already settled.
Oh yeah? How did that get settled?
You accepted my money already.
So what? You owe me 5,000 RMB, right?
Mhm.
And you gave me 2.
No,
What do you mean, no?
no, I'm sorry. I was responding to my mom.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, Aruni, you owe me 5,000, right?
Yes.
And you gave me 2.
That's what you
So-
said. Though.
Oh, so what? Sorry, life is hard. I want the rest of my money. Do you have to give me the rest of my money?
Yes.
Yes, you do, because you borrowed 5,000, you owe me 5,000. Now, that's called part payment. You paid me part. But let me change it, Aruni. Now, I lent you 5,000, right, last semester. And you told me that you were going to pay me back on January 1st, 2021. That was our deal. Okay? And now,
No, wait. I borrowed you last year, and next year I'm gonna pay you back.
You borrowed the money last year. Well, no, you borrowed the money last semester. And you told me you were going to pay me back January 2021, and I agreed. We even signed like a little note that says Aruni borrowed 5,000. She will pay David back with 10% interest on January 1st, 2021, and we both sign our name. Now, tomorrow, I see you outside, and I really need money. My sister needs the money for her mortgage, for her house. And I say, listen, Aruni, I know we have a deal that you're going to give it to me on January 1st, but could you please give it to me today? And you say, well, David, I can give it to you today, but I can only give you 2,500. And I say, okay, deal. Now, have you given me fresh consideration? You're giving me 2,500 today. What am I giving you?
No interest.
Well, you're giving me less money than I deserve. I deserve 5,000. You're giving me less. But you're giving it to me at an earlier date. Was this our original agreement? No. Our original agreement was January 1st. Now you're giving it to me tomorrow. Is that valuable to me?
Yes.
Yes. Therefore, we have a contract. And now you don't have to pay me the rest. Because you've given me something valuable. But remember, in my first example, when I said, Aruni, I'm in such a good mood, I'm so happy, you can just give me 2,000, I don't care. Did you give me anything valuable then? No. And therefore, we didn't have a new contract, and you had to pay me all the money. So what the court had said, they talked about this idea, remember, this is 1602. They talked about if you give me, what if Aruni owes me $5,000, but instead she gives me a horse? That's okay, that's different. What if she gives me a hawk? That's different. What if she gives me a robe? Okay, those are all different things. And so that would be a new contract. But if you just owe someone money, giving them part of the money is not consideration. If I owe Jody 1,000 RMB, giving him half of that isn't consideration. Past consideration is no consideration. So consideration must be present. Let's look at this. So, we already did it. I lost my pet dog, Bernie. This will be is this the last one? Okay, this will be the last one we do. I lost my pet dog, and I put up signs with his picture. And one day, a man, who's the man? Harry, you're a man. Harry, you come to my house, and you say you found the dog. And I'm so excited. So you give me the dog. And I say, oh my God, Harry, thank you so much. And I hug the dog. And then I say, I promise, Harry, I'm so excited. I'm going to give you $500. And you give me your address, and I never pay you. Do I have to pay you?
Yeah. Yes.
Why?
You made a promise.
So what? Who said that? Florian? Hey, Florian, I promised to give you $1 million. Enjoy. Wait, I'll give you $1 million and an A in this class and a Lamborghini.
Okay.
I promise. I promise.
You must, I need to record, I have a contract. It's the same as the case that the man said to his, I think, a nephew, please stop drinking alcohol. Otherwise,
I'm glad you
I will.
remember that case.
Yeah. So it's
That's
the same.
good. Hamer v. Sidway.
It's not the same, it's different.
It's
It
not
is.
exactly the same. And we're actually going to get into that, but we'll do it next class. But it's not exactly the same, but I think it's good logic that you remember that. What's the problem here? I promised to pay. Now, remember, right now we're talking about consideration. So these are all examples of consideration. And consideration, what's the test for consideration? What's the test, Nicola?
What did the parts give each other?
Great. So here, I lost my dog. Harry comes to my house with my dog. What did I promise to give Harry?
500.
Okay. What did Harry promise to give me?
Nothing.
Right.
He already did.
Correct. There's no new consideration. He gave me the dog in the past. It doesn't matter that it was 1 minute ago. It was past. Consideration has to be now. I promise to give you this. Remember, a promise is something shall or shall not happen in the future. I promise to give you something in the future. You promise to give me something in the future. Harry already gave me something. No consideration there.
This is the kind of the case that the guy found the murder. You remember, like the family.
Yes. So in that case, well, the problem with that case is you cannot accept an offer if you didn't know about the offer.
Yeah.
So this would be similar if there were signs around the neighborhood that said reward, but Harry never saw those signs.
Yeah, exactly.
But in this case, this is past consideration. So once you pay for something, then you get like a car. But you can't use a payment from 5 years ago to pay for a new car, right? So that's a more obvious example. Let's look at one more example of this past consideration in re McArdle, which is a famous case from 1951. So in this case, Ms. McArdle, she carried out improvements on a bungalow. A bungalow is like an apartment. And it was part of the estate of her husband's father, who died, leaving the property to his wife for life, and then in trust. And there's so many legal things you don't know here, like trust for Ms. McArdle's husband and his siblings. So, Tiffany, here's the point. There's a woman who fixed the kitchen in an apartment, okay? This apartment didn't belong to her. So like if you rent an apartment and then fix the kitchen. Now, after the repairs were done, the owners said, we're going to pay you. And then they never paid. Did they have to pay?
Technically, that's actually not that woman's responsibility.
But they said they were going to pay her.
Yeah, they said that, but there's something about it. I don't know how
What's the
to-
test? What's the test for consideration?
Test for consideration is, what did the parties give each other?
What did they promise to give her?
Money?
What did she promise to do for them?
Nothing.
Correct. So it was just a promise. They don't have to pay her. Now, what should she have done? Anybody, what should she have done? Crystal, what should she have done?
Set the price before the performance.
Yeah. She should have said to them, hey, I'm thinking of fixing the apartment. If I do it, will you pay me back? And then if they said yes, and she got that in a contract, then no problem. They promise to pay her. She promises to fix the apartment. Contract. But this question is really important. What did the parties give each other? It has to be present. It can't be something you did for someone. If we make people pay for something that was done in the past, then we're making people be moral or ethical. And that is not the job of law, to make people be moral or ethical. Our job is to enforce agreements. You know, we can't make people be ethical. Some people are, some people aren't. That's the way the world has to be. It's not our job to force people to be good, or else we get into a very dangerous place where the law gets to decide what good means. So, okay, good. That's a lot of information we have done today. We're at a good place. Okay, so your midterm is due Friday by midnight. If you guys have questions, just message me. If you want me to look at something, you know, you're gonna have to let me know, because if you just send it to the quiz thing, I might not even see it, because you're gonna send it on Wednesday. So if you
Sir,
want me to look at something.
I already submitted through Blackboard, the coursework, but I mean, it's not finished yet.
And what shall I do with that? What would you like me to
It
do
said
with
that,
that?
you can, I mean, like you will review everything that we submit earlier.
I definitely will not review everything you submitted. It's
No,
probably
I
like 20 pages. If you want me to look at something, send me a WeChat. Tell me what part you want me to look at.
Okay.
Okay, cool.
Sir, a final question before we end is that I was looking into the contracts video you made before class, and you say like a contract doesn't have to be on paper, like it doesn't have to be written.
Yes,
But
that is true.
Yeah, but you said like on special occasions. But how like
Yes, there's
how do
some
you know-
contracts that need to be written.
For example, how do you know if let's say you get into a dispute and you say like, no, but he said that and it was a contract and we made a contract, but the other party says like, no, I never said that.
Well, I mean, you're talking about evidence. And in law school, we spend a whole year just studying evidence because, of course, it's one thing to have all these nice rules about contracts, but how do you prove it? And so that is very hard. If you don't have a contract, then usually the question is, did someone see you? You know, were you alone somewhere? What if you were out at a bar? Then you find the people who were at the bar and you ask them, you bring them to court. As a lawyer, we have a power called subpoena. And subpoena lets us make people go to court. And if you don't go to court, you go to prison. So if I was your lawyer, I could find out who was in the bar that night, maybe from the bartender, were there any regulars, who was there? And then I would try to find those people. I would send them a letter saying, you have to come to court about this. First, I would depose them, which means you have to meet with me and I'm going to ask you questions and you have to swear to tell the truth on a Bible. And if you're lying, you're going to go to prison. So lawyers have these powers when we get into law that I can make people tell the truth and the whole truth and nothing but the truth, so help them God. And that's called a deposition. And then I'll write all of what they said down, I'll record it and write it, and then we'll go to court. And I'm going to ask them what they saw, and it has to match what they said. So that's what we would do. If we don't have a contract, we're going to bring people in. If we can't bring people in, we're going to look at evidence of your past. You know, let's say every month you make deals for, you buy wine, you buy and sell wine, and you make this every month. And then we look at this contract and Carlotta says, Juan didn't make a deal with me, he's lying. But actually, Juan has been making deals with Carlotta and Crystal and Harry and Nicola for months. Maybe the court is going to believe Juan, because at that point, there is no evidence. It's he said, she said. And so if it's he said, she said, and you say this and she says that, then we're going to bring in a jury. Now, as a lawyer, I'm going to do voir dire, which is a really, really interesting area of law. Voir dire, which Florian would know is French. And in voir dire, it's about choosing the people on the jury. So there are lots of rules because maybe I'm going to choose, you know, only people who look this way or people from who are, you know, poor or rich or whatever, you know, and then you can challenge me and, you know, we choose the jury and then I try to convince them that you're telling the truth. And that's it. At that point, it's just who can tell the better story.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, I understand.
Okay. Jody, you are the host.
Okay, thanks. Sir.
Okay. See you guys. Have a nice week. Send me WeChats or emails if you have any questions. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.